Hi, Sergera, it is Gwendolyn. I hope you've had a really good week and you've got something exciting and fun planned for the weekend ahead. Really great to see your next set of essays, and also really good to see your corrected essays in your error list. Thanks for taking the time to correct those and to create your error list. I had a look at both of those. They looked really good. Um, it's our belief that you learn the most from your mistakes, so we think it's really important that you spend some time doing both of those tasks. So really great to see that you've taken the time with those. I hope you'll find it beneficial. Let's go ahead and look at your essays today. Let's start with your task 2 here on copyright laws. Sudra, I thought you did a good job of in terms of your grammars and your sentence structure. I didn't see that many issues in terms of your incorrect grammar usage. I can see that you've tried really hard to answer both sides of the task response, which is great to see. And yeah, good vocabulary throughout. You've used some words which I didn't really know myself, so I had to go and look them up, which is really good. I think the main focus that I had here for you today, Sertra, was your coherence and your cohesion. So I think you've given 2 good examples, or you've provided 2 good ideas and 2 examples, but I did have to struggle a little bit to understand what you meant by them, and that's just because maybe they were a little more complex and it was difficult for you to explain. The P1 I understood a bit more because I've heard this example before, so I knew a little bit more what you were talking about. Your P2, I didn't know anything about what you were talking about. I don't know anything about Christmas research. So I think maybe just a little bit more in the language needs to be done there to make that clear to the reader what you're trying to explain to them. It's a little difficult as well because you've written, you're already at 292 words, and I'd actually like to reduce that down. So I'll see if I can help you here with P1. I might have to do a bit of research on who this Chris Smith is because I don't know anything about that, which made this paragraph really hard for me. It was missing some more of the detail to make someone who wouldn't know anything about it be able to understand, and I couldn't understand. Let's go ahead and read through it. The issue of copyright laws has grown in importance over the past few decades. In my opinion, creativity can be recompensed, and it has to be submitted to some rules and regulations. In this essay, so put a comma here, in this essay, comma, I will discuss how rights owners can benefit from their patent and why protective rules are important, using examples from YouTube. So YouTube, the T is also capital because it's part of the proper noun, and I think it's one word. YouTube, a National Research Institute from Chile, to demonstrate points and support arguments. Good, a really good introduction, very concise, very coherent. I could follow that very well. Some good vocabulary in there, recompensed, and then also you've used some great synonyms, right owners, and protective rules. Really, really good introduction. On the one hand, good transition here. Allowing copies can bring advantages for both. So I'd like this to be a little more specific. Allowing copies. Copies is a pretty broad term that could mean a lot of things. So I think just need to be a bit more specific about copies here. Maybe you could say, on the one hand, allowing artistic work to be copied can bring advantages for both parties. I think that makes more sense. Here, copies could just mean you're taking a piece of paper and taking it to a photocopy machine, and you're getting multiple copies of it. So it's a little bit awkward there. Plus, you've used copy again there, so trying to change that up a little bit for your lexical resource score. This is because through a copy one can gain publicity, being known by various categories of public. Yeah, again, I was a little confused here about what the meaning was here. Maybe something like, this is because allowing someone to use a copyrighted piece of work in their own material can gain greater publicity to a different variety of public. For example, and I want to fix all of this to make it clear. For example, Ginny and John's YouTube wedding video, instead of being blocked, it was allowed, and Sony attached a link for iTunes. I think put that together, and with a capital T, a link for iTunes song that was used in a video. I know what you're talking about here, but it doesn't really make much sense the way you've described it. Maybe you could say, for example, a recent wedding video was posted on YouTube using a popular pop song. However, instead of being blocked, the video was allowed, and Sony attached an iTunes link for the song that was used in the video. As a consequence, in a few weeks, the 18-month-old song reappeared in the top of the charts, and the video had more than 41 million views. The young couple saved money for a domestic violence foundation, and the song got, not get, and the song, and no comma needed there, and the song got free publicity. Therefore, the rights of content owners can be used to promote a good cause. Good? Just a little bit fixing up in there to make it a little more clear. On the other hand, good transitional phrase. The policy of rights owners is protecting the original content. This is due to the fact that plagiarism can bring significant consequences for someone's life work. So life work is two words here. For instance, the National Research Institute from Chile did not submit the National Research Institute did not submit the Christmas research to detailed verification and published the content. Another, A-N-O-T-H-E-R, another researcher had already applied for a patent, having the right to block the Smith's publication, and all his work was in vain. As rules and regulations are used to give the content owner the opportunity to have control of his work. Yeah, I mean, here you're trying to talk about would society function better without such rules or regulations. And I didn't get that. I don't know if the example was just too complex for you to explain, or because I didn't know anything about Christmas work. But even then, not knowing about Christmas works, you should be able to understand a little bit what you're talking about from the idea. And I just could not understand at all. Yeah, I had a Google of that Sidra, and I'm not quite sure what it was about. Maybe it was a scientist about dark skies. Not quite sure. Just need some more detail in there to make that coherent. To conclude, although copyright laws can reward creativity, to avoid the abuse, there should be some respected rules. Change your word order there. Let's go ahead and look at your task one. Hi, Sidra. So I've just read through your task one. Overall, I thought you did a good job of writing this essay. There was a couple of things I want to mention to you. Yeah, first of all, thank you for including your chart above the essay. It really helps me in correcting this. But also, you've looked at the data sort of in section by section, which was okay, and I thought you did an okay job of the information you provided doing that way. However, in the IELTS exam, you're going to get more points if you compare and contrast the data across the categories. So by that I mean, for example, you could say It is interesting to note that there was a wide variation in the calorie intake of pulses throughout the age groups. It can clearly be seen that the over 50-year group consumed pulses the most at 65%. In contrast, the 0 to 24-year-olds only had an intake of around 18% of this calorie source, while the 25 to 49-year-olds had a mere 10% of their calories from pulses. So it's looking at the data, the key bit of data, and comparing and contrasting it across the categories instead of going it one by one. That said, let's go ahead and look at your essay the way you've written it. There are a few grammatical things, so I just want to correct those. The bar chart. So it is recommended in the IELTS exam that you never use this word below or above when you're talking about your bar chart. Just take that out and just say the bar chart illustrates. The calorie sources. So these kind of work together as one word, so therefore the plural is on sources. The calorie sources with an S, preferred by males from the UK. It's a collective noun, so it needs article the in front of it. From the UK, distributed by age groups. Firstly, it can be seen from the chart that males under 24 years are eating the same amount of meat, pulses, and vegetables at about 20%. However, this group has the highest percentage of dairy consumption compared to the others. Good vocabulary there. Regarding the middle-aged with a D, males, there's a slight variation of preferences, although the peak is represented by meat intake at about 50%, which is higher compared to the other groups. So good, and you can definitely see you're doing some relationships to the other categories, which is good, but maybe would like to have seen that less section by section. On the other hand, good transitional phrase. You could also use in contrast. The calorie sources again, calorie, no S, sources with the S, of males over 50 years is represented by dairy, meat, and vegetables relatively at the same level, under 20%. Therefore, the highest consumption of this group is represented by pulses, being on the top of the food categories at about 65%. Overall, there are differences in eating habits between males of various ages. The youth prefers dairy, the seniors are choosing pulses, but the middle-aged, with the D group, likes meat. Good, great to see that you've got a conclusion there. Good, etc. Overall, really good essays. I think, here in your task 1, mostly grammatical, and your task 2, just trying to make sure your examples are clear for any reader to read, even if they weren't quite sure about the examples and the ideas that you gave. Okay, what I'd like you to do before is go ahead and correct these 2 essays with suggestions given, add any mistakes to your error list, watch any podcast if there are any, and then go ahead and write the next 2 set of essays and get those back to me as soon as possible. So your exam is very soon, etc. So do try to work on getting these back to me within 24 hours so we can get you up to the level that you need by the 9th of July. And hopefully get you to a level so you don't have to take this exam anymore. Alright, keep up the good work. I think your writing's really good, and I think we're getting you there. Just a few things we need to work on. Alright, have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing your next essay soon. Bye for now.